Commercially sexually exploited minors. Sexual exploitation is defined as sexual activity for something of value. That could be money, or it could be goods, or anything else that someone considers valuable. This can include interfamilial pimping, prostitution, phone sex, private parties, erotic massages, and pornography. Trafficking goes hand in hand with sexual exploitation. It's defined as force, fraud, coercion, and threat to trade in for labor or sex. And this can happen to anyone of any age. For this presentation, I'm going to be talking about children, and sadly, we do not know how many children are impacted by this. It could be anyone we see on the street and we might not even know. We all likely know someone who has been affected by this, whether it be through actual sex trade or whether it be just by interfamilial pimping or things like that. We don't know. It can happen to any child, regardless of race, age, religion, ethnicity, or socioeconomic status. Any child can be impacted, whether by strangers, friends, or family, so it's crucial that we look into the risk factors of sexually, commercially exploited and trafficked minors. There are circumstances that can increase trafficking. These risk factors may include homelessness or misplacement, whether this misplacement is from natural disasters or just plain separation from their family, as we can see in these photos. Homelessness, natural disasters, or misplacement. It is estimated that in Texas, there are about 79,000 victims of minor or youth sex trafficking, which, keep in mind, does not account for all forms of sexual exploitation, just for trafficking. This is likely due to the misplacement near the border, and there are probably far more that are not accounted for, which shows just how big this problem is. Now, why is this problem big? It's because of supply and demand. More and more children are taken every day as the demand for child prostitution and trafficking rises. It functions very similar to how drug and arms trades work when it comes to supply and demand. With this, in 2019 alone, 214 minors were charged as perpetrators for prostitution and commercial vice. When children are involved in prostitution, this is not something they should be charged as a perpetrator for, as they were likely exploited, forced, or deceived into it. They need help and not punishment. These are minors that we're talking about. And some problems that can arise is substance abuse and substance use. It is one reason why we need to help these children. There are shown to be elevated usage among children in this group in the future and in current conditions. Some are hooked on drugs by pimps and traffickers as a way to get them to do sex acts, while some rely on drugs later as a means to try and heal from their past experiences. Mental harms come from sexual exploitation and trafficking. Some of these include PTSD, depression, addiction, anxiety, and suicidal behavior, as their mind tries to shut out these experiences that they've gone through. They're also considered an ACE. So there are 5 ACEs that measure personal experience: physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, physical neglect, and emotional neglect. Like our unit on ACEs that we talked about in class, it's not good for a child to constantly have fight or flight instincts activated. It hurts their chemistry long-term and short-term. Physical health problems also arise from exploitation. STIs, HIV, and pregnancy and abuse are common physical harms that arise from these issues. A lot of this is due to being forced to have multiple sexual partners and lack of protection. So this is considered a major public health issue. What these youth need is support, especially in order to help them overcome the trauma that has come from sexual exploitation. The health harms, both physical and mental, that we mentioned earlier, can be greatly reduced through medical and therapeutic support. Of all the people who have sought support, 28% of trafficked women were seen by healthcare providers during the time of them being in captivity. These women or children had doctor visits or ER trips, but nothing was done. This percentage represents missed opportunity to help. There were times where these people were in these bad situations and they were in the care of healthcare. 28% is a lot. So we as professionals or as healthcare providers need to see the signs of abuse, whether it be apparent or not. We need to be trained. And so there are different types of trainings that can happen that can help providers know when somebody is in their office that is going through exploitation or trafficking. Partner violence and child maltreatment training can help providers better understand the population. Some of these trainings can cover lessening harms and preventing future risk, enhancing parenting skills to promote child development, and learning about changing social norms. Those are just some examples of partner violence and child maltreatment training. SANE training is another way that healthcare providers can help. This gives providers experience in legal and medical cases of abuse and assault, and can help get help for these children. It's not just the medical side, but it also helps cover the legal side through SANE training. Most importantly is trust. Making the child feel safe is the most important. They need to feel safe enough to open up. They have gone through much manipulation and feel shame for the things that are not their fault. Helping them feel trust will help them heal and get better care. Now, after all of this, we ask ourselves, what can I do? Well, we can't go all Liam Neeson on traffickers and hunt down the minors that were taken. We can support organizations that help prevent and stop child trafficking and exploitation. There are actually lots of corporations and organizations that do this. One that kind of is close to home is Operation Underground Railroad. It's an organization that's founded out of Utah, actually, and they now work all around the world to help stop trafficking rings and save children who have been taken and sexually exploited. Hopefully one day, all of these organizations and the demand for child exploitation will be diminished, because hopefully one day we won't have a need for it. Thank you.